Hi guys, it's Savannah Hill, and I just wanted to go over a few things with you about what you need to know about FERPA and their laws. So quickly, let's just go over what is FERPA. So FERPA stands for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act and is a federal law that protects the privacy of student education records maintained by or on behalf of educational agencies or institutions. All public schools that receive federal funding for any program funded by the Department of Education must adhere to the FERPA laws. FERPA also provides parents with rights relating to their child's education. These can include the right to inspect and review their children's education records, to seek to have their education records amended, and to have some control over the disclosure of their education records or personally identifiable information, or PII, contained therein. So FERPA in schools. What does it look like? Schools have a great deal of flexibility under FERPA to disclose students' data and education records in certain settings, and FERPA makes an exception to its restrictions on data sharing should knowledge of such information be necessary to protect the health or safety of students or other persons in connection with an emergency. All right, and what types of student information are covered under FERPA? There's a few different things. The personally identifiable information, the PIIs, these can include things such as the mother's maiden name, social security number, disability records, and health records are also covered. Education records and directory information are covered as well. And we'll go into a little bit more detail about what things are included in education records and directory information. So, in directory information, under FERPA, the following items are protected as directory information: student's name, their address, student's telephone number, email address for the student's date and place of birth, the student's grade level and enrollment status, a student's participation in sports, the weight and height of a student in said sports for school, and degrees, honors, and awards that have been received by the student. And what are the education records that are covered under FERPA? The following things are protected by FERPA as education records information. These include student grades, their health records, discipline records, student progress reports, student testing results, their GPA, and their attendance records. FERPA in the classroom. So what will it look like for you as a teacher? You need to make sure you're keeping any student data secure. This can include their grades, your grade book, parents' email addresses, students' email addresses, student logins to any different apps. You need to also make sure that you don't use websites that require students to enter personal information, such as date of birth, phone number, address, things like that. Make sure you're only sharing data with students' parents, no one else. Don't share information over an email. That is not a very secure site, and that's not a good way to follow FERPA laws. And also in your classroom, make sure you're getting permission from your administrator before you're using any outside apps or websites that have not already been pre-approved by your district for use in the classroom. So what are some ways you can follow FERPA? There's 8 quick ones. So 1, raise FERPA awareness. Make sure that people know what FERPA is and how to comply. 2, confirm that FERPA applies to you. So if you teach in a public school that receives federal funding, you're covered under FERPA. Number 3, know the rights, protections, and expectations. We all need to understand and learn how to comply with FERPA and what it looks like. Number 4, choose compliant vendors. These deal with like the apps that we're using and websites and programs. Make sure that those vendors are actually also complying with FERPA and you're not giving them student data. Number 5, train all school employees. We need to make sure we're doing FERPA training on a yearly basis. Number 6, implement compliant policies and procedures. This just makes it easier for us to make sure we're complying, making sure we're following the rules and staying in line with FERPA. Number 7, encrypt files and emails. Make sure you put passwords on things. Don't save your passwords. Don't use the same password for everything. And number 8, implement other prevention tools. Make sure that the whole school has a bunch of tools that we can use to follow FERPA, and that we're all on the same page of how we want to do it and that we're actually complying. So surveillance cameras, how do these fall under FERPA laws? So it says, since the Columbine school shootings in 1999, many schools have installed surveillance cameras in an effort to keep schools safe. Cameras may be placed in areas except those where individuals would have a reasonable exception of privacy, such as restrooms. So this can include common areas, hallways, classrooms, and the perimeter of the school. Images of students captured on surveillance recordings qualify as education records when photo or video is directly related to a student and maintained by the educational institution or an entity acting for the school. So some of the photos and videos you would get from surveillance cameras would be falling under FERPA laws. And also some parents may ask to view recordings from your cameras. So when a surveillance recording qualifies as an education record, that is when it is directly related to a student and is maintained by the educational institution. It must be disclosed to the parents of the students for whom it is an education record. This is true even when the recording is an education record for more than one student. So this falls under the parents' rights of being able to get information about their student under FERPA laws. How to get rid of old data. This is a big one under FERPA. You need to make sure that you are actually getting rid of and destroying data in a way that complies. So a life cycle of your data is going to be, you're going to capture it. You can organize it any way you want. You would utilize it in your teaching, manage the data, and when you're done, you destroy it. And then there are 3 different data destruction categories. They are clear, purge, or destroy. Any of those would be suitable for getting rid of data. And just some key tips, don't just throw away your materials with student information or data. So that comes into the destroy part. Put it in a shredder, give it to your supervisor or administrator. They might have a special way to destroy it. And also delete electronic files off of your computer. Don't just leave them there for anybody to be able to open and see. And there's some references. Okay, guys, if you have any questions about FERPA or concerns, or you want a little extra help, just reach out. Thanks, everybody.